Okay, artists, today we are going to continue working on our fall landscapes. We should have our blue background that we have stamped our circles onto. We should also have your green, orange, red, and yellow construction paper that you have added texture to. Today we're going to take those pieces and add them together to make our fall landscape. The first thing that we're going to do is we are actually going to take our green strip of paper and we are going to start at one corner and we are going to cut a wavy line all the way to the other side. Now I don't want to completely cut this paper to make a bunch of small ones. I'm going to start in one corner, so I'm here, and I'm going to do my best to just kind of cut in a wavy line. So I'm kind of right down the middle, making a wavy line. And when I'm done, I should have two pieces of green that have a wavy line on them. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to pick one of these greens to become some grass in our project. So I want you to look at both pieces and I want you to decide which piece you want for grass. Now I kind of like the way that this looks like I have some hills on one side and it goes down on the other. So I think I'm going to pick that piece. Whichever piece you pick, I want you to flip it over so that we are on the back. And there's something that I want to teach you when we glue. When we glue in art, we say dot, dot, not a lot. And when we glue, we want to make sure that we're putting glue on the piece that we are gluing and not what we're gluing to. 'Cause if I put glue on this background, I might end up getting glue where I don't want it to be. So I want to make sure that I'm gluing the piece that I want to add. So remember, dot, dot, not a lot. I'm not squeezing my glue really hard. Just doing a couple of dots, dot, dot, not a lot. And you'll notice that I did not use a lot of glue. I didn't squeeze lines of glue out. I just did some dots. And I'm going to aim for my best to match the bottom edges up to that blue paper as best as I can. And I'm going to push and hold for a few seconds while it sticks to my blue background. Now I've just created some grass on my project. I've just cut and glued. I've created a collage right now. Our extra green piece of paper we can just set aside. We don't need that anymore. And now I want to focus on my yellow, red, and orange pieces of paper. Now notice that if I turn them one way, they're kind of long. And if I turn them the other way, they're kind of tall. I want you to make them vertical so that they are tall. And what I want you to do is I want you to aim for your best to fold each of your pieces of paper in half. So the easiest way to fold something is to try really hard to match the corners up as best as you can, to push down one edge to start your fold, and then move your finger up and down to make the edges. So I'm going to try to get my corners matched up as best as I can. I'm going to push down the middle and move my fingers up and down to make the folds. And now that I have my papers folded, when I open it up on the back, I should see a nice line. And what I want you to do is I want you to aim for your best to cut right along that fold line so that you have two pieces of yellow, two pieces of red, and two pieces of orange. Aim for your best to cut as straight as you can. Now I should have two yellows, two reds, and two oranges. These are going to end up being the trees in my fall landscape. And we know that trees aren't square shaped. This can't be a tree in nature. We don't have square trees in nature. So what we're going to do is we're going to round our corners to try to help us make these look more organic, more like a tree. So if you start in the middle and you round your corner, you're going to start seeing a round edge. I can flip my paper over again. I'm going to start in the middle and I'm going to round to the corner. So now I'm going to go in the middle and I'm going to round to the middle. So middle, round to middle. And I have just created a shape that looks like a fall tree. So let's try that again. So scissors in the middle, middle rounded to middle, middle rounded to middle, flip my paper over, middle rounded to middle, middle rounded to middle. Now, if your trees don't look exactly like mine, that's okay, because if you think about all of the trees that we see in nature, there are no two trees that are exactly the same. So middle, rounded to middle, middle, rounded to middle, flip it over, middle, rounded to middle, middle, rounded to middle. So I want you to continue doing that with each of your colors, and make sure that you're saving your scraps in a nice pile so that it's easier to clean up. Once you've got your scraps in a nice pile, you can start arranging your fall trees. Now, I like a variety, so I don't like to have 2 yellow trees next to 2 red trees next to 2 orange trees. So I'm going to kind of mix it up a little bit. So maybe I want to have a red tree, then an orange tree, and a yellow tree. And maybe I want to have another bunch over here, yellow, red, and orange. Now when we glue these down, we don't have to put these all the way down to the grass, because we're actually going to draw some branches and some tree trunks. So what I want you to do is to decide on your pattern, and we are actually going to overlap our trees. So when we overlap, that means that one tree is on top of another, is on top of another. This is overlap. One tree is on top of another, is on top of another. This is overlap. So what you want to do is you want to pick one tree to put down first. And remember, dot, dot, not a lot. I'm not putting my glue on the blue, I'm putting my glue on the piece that I want to attach. Dot, dot, not a lot. I really don't need more than 3 dots of glue. There's my tree number 1. So my next tree, I want to overlap. So I want my next tree to go on top. So dot, dot, not a lot. Dot, dot, not a lot. 3 is plenty, and I'm overlapping. And I'm pushing and holding to secure it. Dot, dot, not a lot. 1, 2, 3 is plenty. And I'm overlapping. So one tree is in front of the other, which is in front of the other. And I could continue going right in a row, or I can do another group of trees over here. It's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and finish my group on the right. Once you have glued all of your trees down, our last step is to take a crayon. You can use black or you can use brown. And we need to give our trees some trunks. And the trunks need to go from the base of the tree all the way down to the grass. So from the base of the tree to the grass, base of the tree to the grass. And if you think about trees, they usually have part of their branches inside. So I'm going to extend my branch inside each of my trees. And I don't need too many branches. And I have just created a fall landscape collage, which means I cut, I pasted, or glued onto a base that I had printed. We also have texture in our trees. The last thing that you need to do, every good artist always signs their work. So somewhere in the grass, I want you to make sure that you write your name and your class code.